Okay, so we're going to look at two formulas to see how we can add sine and cosine. So mainly adding when we got two different angles, how we can add the sine cosine of those angles. So what we're going to do is we'll draw a circle, a triangle, but we're going to draw a triangle and we're going to pretend that we drew it in the unit circle, so that way I can make the hypotenuse radius be 1. And we're making a right triangle because right triangles are easier for us to work with. And we're going to break up one of these angles. So I'm going to break up this angle and I'm going to make it like that. And I'm going to call this A and this B. And what I want to find then is my sine of A plus B and my cosine of A plus B. So I'm going to try to find those. So let's see. Well, my A has a right angle, which is kind of useful. And therefore, sine of A plus B should, my A plus B has a right angle. So my sine of A plus B should really be this over 1. Since sine of A plus B would be opposite over hypotenuse, and hypotenuse is 1, sine of A plus B is just going to be the hypotenuse, the opposite. We're going to draw a lot over here, so I'm going to go ahead and just draw a parallel thing up here. And we're going to say this is what we're looking for. We're looking for this, sine of A plus B. So that way it's just easier for us to see. Okay, well we got kind of two right triangles here. We got the A being a right triangle. We got the A plus B, this whole thing being a right triangle. But it'd be nice for us to be able to get a right triangle with our B. So I'm going to draw that out a little bit. I'm going to draw it out until it seems right about a right triangle with that B. Okay, so if that's a right triangle, I can actually fill in some more stuff over here. Because I have a hypotenuse, my hypotenuse is 1. So I can, let's just call this whole line here, I guess, X. We'll call this Y. And I'm going to say that cos of B is going to equal X over 1. Which means cos of B equals X. So this is cos of B. So sine of B would equal Y over 1. So which is just Y. So this would be sine of B. Okay, we got some things in. Didn't really help us with these though. I was able to find some stuff, but didn't really help us with these. But let's go ahead and draw out a little bit more. We'll go ahead and draw out this square, I guess, a little bit more. We'll make it look like a square, so we'll go all the way over. In fact, that should be touching, so we'll make that touch. So now we got a bunch more right angles going on. Oh, let's look at this then. We don't actually have to find this plus this. We could also just find this plus this, and these might be easier. So let's start with this one. Let's call it M. Well, let's see. That would be an opposite. And my X over here, this would be my hypotenuse. So I'm going to say sine of, that would be A, equals M over cos of B. Since that's what we found that hypotenuse to be. Okay, so M is going to equal sine A cos of B. Well, could we find this side? We found this. If we could find this, then we have the entire sine of A plus B. So let's see. Well, I don't know any of these angles, right? Well, I know that's a 90 degree. But let's look at this. This is something. I'm just going to call it a question mark. And I know then that A plus 90 plus random angle question mark equals 180 because triangles add up to 180. Well, this is also a straight line. So question mark plus 90 plus this angle that we don't actually know, that angle, add up to 180. Well, everything kind of crosses out except for the angle we don't actually know. So that angle has to be A. So we know that this angle is A. Okay, well if we know that, then maybe we could find this side. This side would be adjacent, so I'm going to say cos of A equals, we'll call this n over sine of B. So n equals cos A sine B. So now we have our m and our n. If we add them together, we should get that entire side. So sine of A plus B should just be sine A cos B, because that's my m, plus cos A sine B, because that's my m. So if I'm adding two different angles in a sine, I just add sine of the first, cosine of the second, plus the cosine of the first, sine of the second. We can use the same diagram to find cosine of A plus B. Cosine of A plus B should be, this is A plus B again, so cosine of A plus B should be this side now over 1. So just this side. Okay, so we're just looking for this side. So maybe we could find what this, let's see. Yeah, we'll draw a dotted line just so it looks a little different. So we're looking for that side. So maybe we could find out what cos of A is. So cos of A itself, so cos of A plus B, because B ends up here, is literally just this side. So this part. But I could find cos of A. Cos of A is the one that goes all the way out. So cos of A, because this is adjacent, would be this entire side, so let's call the entire side J. This entire side, J, over the hypotenuse, cos of B. So J will equal cos A cos B. So that's just the entire thing, is that. But I need to get rid of this part, because this part is not part of this side of A plus B, cos of A plus B. So I need to get rid of this small thing. I can go back up to this triangle, call this K, and say, again, this angle right here, this one that we found, was A. So I can say sine of K, because that's opposite. So I can say sine of A, equals K over sine of B. So K equals sine of A, sine of B. Therefore, cos of A plus B, so cos of A plus B, again, is just this part. It's going to be my whole thing minus what we just found. So the whole thing was cos of A, cos of B, minus sine A, sine B. So we also have subtraction formulas. You can memorize them if you want to. You can also just sub in plus a negative. That will generally work. All subtraction formulas do is change the sign in the middle. Everything else stays the same. And honestly, you can figure this out yourself by just subbing in the negatives to see what happens. Cos A, cos B plus sine A, sine B. So subtraction formulas just change the sign in the middle. Also, tangent formulas, you can memorize them if you want to, but you know how to find tangent. If you're looking for tan of A plus B, I just need to find sine of A plus B and put that over cos of A plus B. So for less things to memorize, just go ahead and memorize sine and cosine, and you really can just memorize the addition. And if you have a subtraction, just sub in plus a negative. So we'll be using these a bit.